everybody out. Instead of going to the shareholders, the board announces what's called a poison pill, which basically bars Elon Musk from buying up the company through public means. They may still entertain his offer, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And it looks like we are about to see one of the biggest culture war battles, the most significant we've ever seen. I think Elon Musk has exposed so much dirty dealing, and it says a lot about how wealthy billionaires, corporate interests are manipulating the public and don't care about money because they're getting money from the Fed. They don't care about the cost. They want the power and the influence. Even Recode, a Vox.com blog, says exactly this, that Twitter is where journalists and politicians get out their message. Well, surprise, surprise, guess who is getting banned? Yeah, it's mostly the right. It's mostly libertarians. Sometimes there are anti-war leftists and some left-wingers who will get banned, but typically not. That's the power, and they know it. We got a couple other stories. Well, you know, it's funny we're talking about Elon Musk because World War III apparently started. Russian state TV said the sinking of the Russian flagship, the Moskva, I'm sorry, not specifically, but after this, they said the weapons we are up against are from NATO. They're trying to maintain that the ship sank due to a fire, but the Ukrainians are saying we basically hit it with a Neptune missile. So we'll talk about that. We definitely got to talk about the secrets of Dumbledore. It's Friday. We're going to get into it. I haven't seen it, but joining us to explain what's going on with the plot is Brett Cooper.
Hey, guys. How are you? I mean, okay, so...
Well, we don't need to get into it.
Do we need to right now? Jumping in. It's just, it's interesting. It's a mediocre film.
The real story on our end is that they gutted the plot for the Chinese version because Dumbledore prefers the company of men. And in China, they're like, no, we can't,
It's a real secret.
Poor
Dumbledore.
It's just for America.
So, yeah,
They
Brett,
doing to you.
I am Brett
By the
Cooper.
authors.
I am the newest host at Daily Wire. I host the comment section with Brett Cooper. It's a daily social media cultural reaction show. It's been up and running for about a month now. It's been fun. I come from a background in acting. I was a professional actor. I went to UCLA. Here in Nashville.
We also got Ben Stewart.
I'm actually Michaela Peterson, but none of you are biologists, so it's okay. No, BenJosephStewart.com is where you can check out all my films, all the work that I do. Also, Ben Stewart Podcast on YouTube. And happy to be back. I think it's my fourth time.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you.
It's the fourth turning.
Thanks for having me. We'll get into that, too. Maybe the local stuff. We got Ian.
Hi, everyone. Ian Crossman. You know me. And you love me. What's up?
And I'm also here in the corner pushing buttons. I'm excited to have Brett. I always love having ladies.
I need to target something first.
All right, before we get started, my friends, you got to head over to timcast.com. Become a member to help support the work we do here. These trips we do, we came down to the Daily Wire headquarters so we could do fun stuff. You guys, if you didn't see it, we did this crossover stream where I ran out of the trailer and they're filming it with tech. All of this is possible because you guys are members, helping us grow the company, hire more people, expand the business, and we're taking over the world figuratively with your help. We're going to challenge the media, and you're going to get access to exclusive exclusive episodes of Guest IRL podcast. But what I wanted to say is, I used to say that if you guys like, share, subscribe, and share this video, we could be bigger than CNN. That's right. Every person watching right now, just share the URL. We could be bigger than CNN. Well, ladies and gentlemen, CNN Plus has less daily active users than we do, so I guess, we sort of met that milestone, so thank you. We really appreciate it. And all of you who are members are a part of that movement where you can laugh and say that you support real media and CNN Plus is failing. I just want to say one thing on that. I see these journalists constantly promoting CNN Plus who don't work there, and I'm just like, it's sad at this point. It's like, I know your friends have a company and it's not working, but stop trying to make it happen. It's like it's not going to happen. So yeah. Well, let's talk about the news again. Smash that like button. The first story we have here from TimCast.com. Twitter board utilizes poison pill to stop Elon Musk from buying the company. The plan intends to reduce the likelihood that any entity, person, or group gains control of Twitter. Check this out. You guys know how this works? So this is if Elon Musk tries to buy up more than 15% of the company, they're going to offer special stock to the other investors at a discount rate so they can dilute the equity power that Elon would have, meaning no matter how much he buys, the other investors can buy up and take away the power he's buying. They're effectively destroying their own company to stop Elon Musk from ending their censorship?
Yeah, that's probably because the Saudi Arabian king is involved with
Prince.
Yes.
the prince as
I
well, the Saudi Arabian state as well. So I imagine it's all going
Well,
through
so
the king.
well, elaborate. I know there's a prince who
The
invested.
prince tweeted out, and it also said that the state itself said
Kingdom
myself,
H.
yeah, the kingdom. And
But is that just his company? Or
well,
is-
to be honest, to be fair, I don't know. I assume that was the kingdom itself.
yeah, I saw Zero Hedge tweeted that he actually sold his shares. I don't know if that's true.
The prince.
The prince sold his shares. I don't know if that's true. It's hard to know, but I think the big play here is the people who own Twitter, as we mentioned the other day, and what we can get into now. They want the power, the
Yeah.
political power of Twitter to control the conversation.
Saudis aside, I think it's Vanguard. Vanguard upped their stake to say now we own more than Elon. So there's some very nefarious corporate interests that want control of this mouthpiece that is Twitter.
What do you guys think?
There's stuff.
Vanguard and BlackRock have a pretty substantial Disney stake as well. Yeah.
Interesting.
They also
And
own
grew
each other,
malicious.
which is weird.
Yeah.
Usually, like they own 2% of the other. and
It's
stuff like
it's
that.
It's all
inbred, if you will.
interconnected.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I had to go there.
It's true.
It's a little inbred when it comes to the money. So.
Here's the crazy thing, right? Let me ask you this question, Brett. Do you use Twitter a lot?
Let us begin.
Have you always used Twitter a lot?
No, only this year.
See, because only this year, so only for a few months.
Or no, as of last. So in the last year, like early 2020.
And you are 20 years old, Gen Z, and you're only recently getting involved in Twitter.
Yep.
Twitter it's like the political space, right? Like, how do your friends feel about it, younger people?
Honestly, it is not the most used. I think Instagram and TikTok are just what is most heavily dominated. In politics, everybody is on Twitter, so my friends that are in the political sphere, they are very active, but outside of that, people will have like a burner account basically where they go to just look at memes, but they don't tweet anything, they're not involved. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I'll check Twitter. But it's a very, I think in normal circles it's kind of outdated, like, oh, that's just whatever. And I never really had a reason or an interest in being on it until I started. I was writing for Fee, and they were like, you need to be on there, promote your articles and that kind of stuff.
But that's not even true.
Yeah.
So when I worked at Fusion, they didn't have Twitter. I think it's been a while, but we had a conversation about how, websites like to put the social media link so you can tweet out the story, post the stories, and they didn't care about Twitter, and I asked them why, and they said Twitter doesn't drive traffic. And so I was like, okay. For me, I was like, Twitter's really important. But back in the day, when it was the free speech within the free speech party, it was really important. Now, like I mentioned, I'll post like a picture of a hairless rabbit for no reason and just post nonsense because the platform is garbage.
Twitter's kind of like the repository social media network. I signed up in 08, didn't use it till 2019. I thought it was crap. But YouTube is where it's at. The video makes you famous, and then they come and follow you on Twitter when they find out you have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
No one finds you on Twitter. That's not how it works. I mean, maybe not no one, but it's not.
Well, people found me on Twitter when they realized that I looked like Ben Shapiro. That's where I got the bulk of mine. I had like 400 followers, and then Jeremy retweeted the side-by-side of me and Ben, and it was like, okay, now you have 20,000. And I was like, okay.
Pin tweet on your account right now.
Yeah, you can go check it out.
I'm Brett
Yeah,
Cooper.
people were chatting female Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
But you're taller.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben's actually not that short. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
We just hung out with him the
Oh,
other
look
day.
at that, almost
I-
20K.
Everybody says he's short, and then he walks up to me. I'm like, oh, he's actually a fairly average, height, like totally normal guy. They just like lying and making things up because they want to hate on people. But anyway, back to the reason I was asking you these questions. Twitter's a failing company. Like, I'm 36. Ian's 75.
Yeah.
You look good, though.
Thanks.
You look
man.
good, yeah. No, but like in all seriousness, we're an older demographic, and you have to get young people involved in your culture if you want that culture to persist. Twitter seems to be on a train track that leads just flying off a cliff. They're not convincing young people to be involved in what Twitter is. They have turned Twitter into an activist blog. I called this. I said several years ago when they were banning all the fun people, the trolls and the silliness and the memes, I was like, dude, it's going to turn into a left-wing activist blog. And it's going to have 10 people, and eventually it's going to be one guy, and some people might visit it. But so why would a young person want to go on a platform to be lectured by old fogies complaining about policy?
Yeah, Instagram and I think Instagram and TikTok you mentioned it's pictures and video. I mean, it's video for the most part.
Yeah.
Twitter's text. It's a lot of text. You go there to read and research essentially, but not to have fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fun for you?
I mean, I enjoy it because for my show, which is technically me diving into comment sections and that kind of thing, it's my, I know. It's the, I go into the trenches, my friend. It's the hub of my research basically. So I enjoy it because most of the stuff that I'm looking at is like, batshit crazy things, and so I personally enjoy it. But I wouldn't go on there if this wasn't like my work.
A good consideration.
Probably choose TikTok. I would choose YouTube. Yeah, I would.
But it used to be
100%.
fun. People would go on and they'd post memes. They'd share memes like
More
crazy.
people look up blood
and
now.
they would
Right.
troll.
Not where we started.
And then we get this, like the CEO now, Parag Agrawal. He's like, it's not about free speech. It's about the current state of things and having a healthy conversation. And it's like, dude, if I wanted to go to like a youth seminar where they explain to me, morals or something, sure, I'd book it. If I want to go and just post my thoughts and tell people like, here's a funny joke, you can't do that on Twitter anymore. So what do? You got to go somewhere else.
What about Reddit? Is Reddit still? I use Reddit sometimes, but how are they with censorship? Like,
Oh, it's the worst.
I was gonna say that's what I've
Yeah.
heard. I know that. Yeah.
Dude,
'Cause that used
it's
to be.
you know what it is. It's like it feels like the school principal has taken over the social media platforms, and it's like we used to, throw bouncing balls down the hall and then run after it. Now the principal's in the hallway all day going like, "Hey, you don't do that." And we're like, "This is so lame. Let's go somewhere
I think
else."
Lauren Southern tweeted out that it was like only 5 years ago that if someone got banned off of YouTube or Twitter, it was like global news.
Yeah.
And now, geez, you blink and then like a bunch of accounts are gone. I don't know who's the most recent ban. Does it even matter? But it's disturbing how slippery the slope can be.
Remember how fun Alex Jones was?
Yes.
Ugh.
And
Yes.
Trump?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
was there a point where you ever used Twitter in even a little bit before?
Never.
Probably, and that's the thing I think where I look at the Elon Musk stuff and I'm just like, dude, Twitter is blowing itself up on purpose.
Yeah.
It has to be
And
because
that was another thing that I felt with
do not
Elon,
have a
that it's
target.
like, I love what he's doing, the statement that he's making, but I also kind of had the opinion, like, it already is, like you're saying, a sinking ship. There's so much other crap that's going on in the world. There's so many communities that need us, that, I mean, everything else, and it's like, this is great, but also...
no, he's right. Elon Musk is right.
Yeah.
He posted the top 10 Twitter accounts that some of them haven't even posted this year.
Yep.
Like Justin Bieber or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the platform is dead.
Yeah.
There's users on it. They gain a little bit of users, dude. We were talking to Jeremy about this, and he's like, hey, I said, I don't even take it seriously anymore. I used to post news stories. Now it's like I post like Chicken City is some great accomplishment because I'm like, it's a garbage platform filled with garbage people who just want to they rag on you, they lie about you, they smear you. There's no good conversations. There's no fun. There's no jokes. You'll get banned for saying learn to code. I don't take it seriously. And then he's like, you have 1 million followers though, and I'm like, I don't know why, but I actually do know why. It's what you said.
YouTube fame.
Well, people will watch these shows, and then they'll follow on Twitter because they want to just see their news feed and see information. But I can't take a platform seriously if it's dying, and it is. I can gain followers. I'll put it this way. Let's say there's 100 million people that are using the site at any moment. Sure, I have 1 million followers, so I can lose a bunch and gain a bunch within that sphere, but it feels like the sphere of actual functioning, valuable users is just going down.
Yeah, Elon said it was like the town square, and that's why he wants to buy it to free it. I don't know if he's right about that. It doesn't. I'm on it a little bit, but it's such a small
It's
thing.
kind of like the bathroom stall wall. It feels like
Yeah. And
more
I,
than the town
I
square.
wonder if him just saying, okay, forget it, I'm not buying it, let it fail, might be the right move than try and waste energy and time pouring all this money into some, relatively dying platform. It'd be cool if you could free the software code, but we really don't need it.
What would be the town square, though? If it was
YouTube?
not... Yeah, I guess.
I think so. What do you
No.
think?
It's not centralized. There's disparate communities. The thing about Twitter is it's really easy to overlap with different groups. So, Ben was mentioning that he trends once every 3 weeks, and it's because one of his tweets will merge into another community, which will then go nuts about it. YouTube doesn't do that. YouTube is much more rigid.
Like if you don't get shown like stuff
You
that
can't-
is
It's very
outside of your.
siloed.
You can't retube a
True,
video.
yeah.
Yeah.
True that.
And so
They used to have that. Your channel page. You could post stuff on your
Yeah.
channel page, and all your followers would see your channel posts. That was like
You-
in 2007.
I think you can still do that if
Yeah,
you
your
like.
community.
Yeah, you like stuff, and but YouTube can't capture that. So Twitter became this rapid. It became political because it's what are you posting? You're posting ideas. YouTube, you're posting videos. Instagram, you're posting photos. So it makes sense that the platform that typically is about text, idea, concepts, information would become political news, some of the highest level stuff. The problem is Twitter sought to light itself on fire, burn itself to the ground, and make it a trash platform that nobody wants to use.
I thought it was a doom from the beginning. 2008, there's videos of me in 2008 when all the people were like, hey, this new thing, it's Twitter. I'm like, oh, great, another one. We just did Facebook. We already have YouTube. What are you guys doing? We have our and they're like, we're going to tweet our message, our 6-word messages to each other. I'm like, dude, text is going to warp our minds. Don't fall into it.
I agree and disagree, especially with the text warping your mind, but disagree on the prospects of Twitter. When I started using it, I think I signed up in 2009, I was like, what's the big deal with this? And then within a little while, I was like, whoa. Now I get it.
Yeah.
The rapid virality. Like, you tweet something, and if it's good information, if it's a funny joke, it ripples outward in a massive wave that gets bigger. That little pebble you drop can become a tsunami. Remember that woman who was on a plane and she made that joke about AIDS? And then, like, her phone was off, and then when she landed, they destroyed her life. She had, like, 200 followers. You ever hear this story? This lady had, like, 200 followers. And then she made a joke about how white people tend not to get AIDS in Africa, but it was actually a social justice joke. The point she was making was that the people who are mostly victimized by this tend to be black, and she said it in a tongue-in-cheek way. This was like one of the first major cancellations, I think. The tweet went viral, and she was just some like random woman, and she lands, and she like had a panic attack. There were news stories written about her. They were going nuts. You know what ends up happening is people like, there's this viral thread going around explaining how Elon Musk will not be able to save the platform because he doesn't understand that Web 1.0 is over. The era of the Wild West, internet is gone. And this guy explains that in the beginning of the internet, it was the frontier. It was barren wastelands. Yeah, you can go out in the middle of a barren wasteland and scream whatever stupid, ridiculous nonsense you want because ain't nobody going to hear it. Eventually, some people show up, and then those who don't like hearing the crazy guy in the desert screaming leave, and those who think it's funny stick around and watch. But where we're at now with the internet, the foundations have been built. It's not just the frontier anymore. It's totally urbanized. The internet now is the world. You can't just go into the middle of the city and start screaming insane things. The cops will come and tell you to keep it down. They'll say you have your free speech, you can't scream. People will come and scream back at you. Fight might break out. And so what this guy is saying is, because of that, censorship emerges. And he's like, the only thing the big tech platforms want is for you to calm the F down, be civil. And I'm reading this and I'm like, dude's right about the frontier thing, wrong about the censorship and what they want. The people at Twitter are all biased. Not every single person. I mean, like the higher ups, they are. They think they're not. They are. It's baked into their rules. They will ban you for calling someone dude, like when they suspended Zuby. And this makes it not fun. And if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. I'll put it this way. How many of you, on your day off, would decide to go somewhere so that someone can scream in your face about how ugly you are? You'd be like, no, I'll just go to the movies instead, right? That's what Twitter has become by eliminating the fun and by their outright bias.
I think what you said about the Web 1 concept is definitely true, and you see Facebook changing the name to Meta. The metaverse, according to Bloomberg standards, should
10,000
be
on that boss.
I think they say it's like an $800 billion industry by 2024. And I'm just curious how Twitter would be able to kind of keep up in that kind of direction. I know that text will always be relevant in that respect. I just kind of wonder, it's less versatile. I wonder if it could start moving in that direction.
If Elon buys it and links it up with the neural net, maybe.
Yeah. I was going to say, when I asked about the town square thing, immediately the first thing that came to my mind was, well, maybe it will be the metaverse, and especially if it's, Web 2.0 or whatever this is, where, we're talking about, like, cops are screaming at you, that kind of thing. I'm imagining there was this, I think it was Wall Street Journal. They had one of their journalists go live in the metaverse for 24 hours, and she did a YouTube video about it. She they put her in a hotel room, and they gave her food, and she had to do, like, all of her meetings. She worked out. She, like, went to bars in it. And she just lived in it, and she had to deal with all of these random people. And I was like, oh my God, maybe that is the future of our social media. And so imagine what censorship would be like in the metaverse.
I was just gonna say, there's it's something that Truth Theory on Instagram posted, that there's a guy who lived a week in the metaverse. He only had the goggles on and he would whatever like eat everything, and he said that there were like amazing aspects to it because he would go to like meditation class and he was meditating for like an hour, 2 hours a day, but like there was parts of it that were making him go insane, and his dreams were really messed up because of it.
Dude, I had a dream 3 nights ago where I was in a video game, but it was realistic. It was like this. And in order to get through the part that I was at, I had to kill a dog in the game. You know, like in World of Warcraft, you have to fight dogs and stuff. But it was real, and it was a little dog. And they were like, I was like, how do I do this? They're like, the most humane way, you know, you got to choke it. You got to. And so I did in the dream.
Yeah, it's a
and
fucked up
it was
dream.
so disturbing. And now I'm thinking about these people going into the VR metaverse, and they're going to be killing things like a video game, but it's going to seem real. What is that going to do to people?
Talk about
Video games make people violent.
Yeah, okay.
Jeez, it made me sickeningly disturbed.
I
when
agree
woke
and
up.
disagree. I think there are going to be. It's very different from playing a video game with the controller, where you're watching a screen, and you have some kind of avatar or first-person shooter. You know, we've seen many studies that video games don't cause violence. They can desensitize in other ways that can make violence worse if you're prone to it. I think the real issue is that if you're a regular person and you do metaverse stuff, I don't think you're going to go around beating dogs. But if you're prone to these things, then this could exacerbate or at least desensitize you and make, you know, the potential to violence worse.
A lot of video games, maybe, I don't know, 90%, 80% of them are fighting, shooting, punching, kicking. Like, if you get that, and that's all of a sudden all these people are, jeez, sorry, Ben.
Well, I've done a deep dive. There's Into the Metaverse and Welcome to the Metaverse, these two podcasts. I think Into the Metaverse is Bloomberg specific. And like just going deep on like what is this?
That's
And a lot of
okay,
people,
I can't get 'em
a
all,
lot
guy.
of the execs that they have, they're like, this is huge, but it's not like crypto. It's not something you just dump money into. You need to understand what it's here to do, and like why there are countries like I think it was Sweden that bought like sizable real estate there for their embassy and stuff like that. So like you don't have to go. You can go and kind of be in person. But they're like what they're really saying is like it's not like a video game. Think video games having to bend to meet the internet. So it's spatial web. You're interacting with the internet. It's not exactly like a video game. So you're right. There's a lot of violence and stuff like that there. But this is gaming meeting virtual like internet stuff that you would do to go and get paperwork done. And the one thing I was thinking about when you were mentioning the dream is the technology that's coming out potentially being able to give people eyesight that is only virtual, but seeing something, you know, like hooking it in, and they're seeing what they're seeing like through camera. They wear these glasses in the same way that the heads-up displays, Mojo Vision, all that kind of stuff works, but they're actually seeing it through their vision. So there's things like that
I got something for you. You got time for a project? Do something crazy?
Yes.
Get a VR headset. Bluetooth link it to a 360 camera, wear a backpack and have a 360 camera on a monopod going up over your head, have the 360 degree view on your VR visor screen, and learn how to see in 360.
Crazy.
Yeah, we planned with that project a while ago, but we never actually did it, even though it's extremely easy to do. But the idea is out there. Anybody who wants to do it, do it.
I have mixed emotions, but I think I would do it. Yeah. Have you ever, like in school, they would put these like mirrored glasses on so where you see the world upside down, and you would just like throw a ball back and forth, but you wouldn't see it going up like this. You would see it coming down and up, and it was super weird. But once you got the hang of it, it took like 15 minutes, and eventually you got the hang of it. Then you take the glasses off, and you have to adjust again. It takes another 15 minutes to adjust back to the normal way.
Let me ask you, Brett. Would you get the Neuralink and plug your brain into a computer?
I don't think so, no.
Why not?
I don't trust it. I don't know. I'm just very wary about all of it. So I was, even though I, live on social media now for work, I was raised without television. Barely watched any movies growing up, was not allowed to play video games, was not allowed to have social media until I was 16 or something like that. One of the reasons why I wasn't on Twitter. Just read a ton. I was a classic homeschooled kid. But I just don't really trust that. And also with isn't part of Neuralink where they want to be able to like control dopamine levels and like that kind of thing? I know that's part of it.
Is that it? Part of it?
Some of it is, and it's like that.
That's scary.
And it's like that part of it. I think there's something that's interesting. I think the technology is fascinating, and it's like if you want to try, go ahead. I'm just not going to really be your guinea pig. I think I trust myself more than I trust technology.
So
That's the key right there.
Yeah.
Is like technology is doing something that it's not that we can't do these
Yeah.
things. There are ways, but a lot of the times it's like, what's the easiest way to do it? Take this pill and then forget about it. Don't engage with your
Yeah.
healing. You know.
Well, it
just-
reminds me of just everything these days. I feel like I look at the world and it's like you can get your groceries delivered to you. You can use an app and suddenly somebody's coming and like hanging up something in your house. Like everything is digitalized to the point that it's like I could just stay, never leave my house, and my life would function on. Whether it would be like wearing VR goggles, being on Zoom, like everything that feels very tactical and real in the world, slowly being eroded in my eyes, and then add big pharma, and we're just medicating the crap out of my generation.
I'm looking
It's
forward
just-
to
yeah.
the psychedelic metaverse. People are going to be like heavily on
Yeah.
psychedelics in the.
They're making patches. They're making patches
No
for
way.
just that. So patches, think cocktails, MDMA, ketamine, slight doses, but you go in to have whatever kind of experience you want to have. I think that's why psychedelics have gone IPO like gangbusters lately, is this idea of also where the metaverse is going, these fully immersive
Dave the Healer.
experiences where you, like 1984, you almost don't revolt against it. It's servitude in the sense, but you don't revolt against it because you have everything at your disposal. Why get off the couch?
I was thinking a new career might be like a nanny, metaverse nannies. They make sure you're fed and that you're able to poop and pee and take it away for you, make
Well-
sure your body's clean.
Oh my God.
But this
stay
is
there.
You can get
24/7.
robots.
This
to do
is
that.
so. Just the distinction here is, the current metaverse is like you wear goggles. The future metaverse with the neural link is you lay down in some kind of sensory deprivation chamber floating, and you plug in your brain, and then all of a sudden your brain experiences the metaverse.
Somebody
a
should
scary
make
thought.
a movie about that,
Watch
where you're
your
like in
step.
this warm, gooey liquid, and you're hooked up in the back of your head and experiencing.
But you every day,
Helps
you wake up, you go, oh man, what a day, and and check this out, you're ripped. You're as fit can be. No, and you don't work out because when you can plug your brain in, it just controls stimulation. So while you're sitting in the metaverse, your body's just twitching and being programmed to build this perfect, lean body in every way. Processing the right nutrients, craving the right things, or they just plug in the feeding tube and you put it in your throat, and then plug yourself in and.
And you don't
People
have
don't
to-
realize.
I wonder what would the purpose of life then be if we were just hooked up?
To fight dragons.
Obviously.
When you plug yourself in and you're yes.
That's it.
What do you think is the
That
purpose?
stresses me out.
What do you think is the purpose of life?
Productivity and work. Oh, it's
Towards
more
what
of the.
All right, that is
more
a
of
14.
activist.
What'd you say about like
Real
learning?
quick, just to what end?
Yeah.
You started 14.
What, like,
Yeah,
how
like-
far would I go?
No, like if the point of life is productivity and work, to what end? Is it just indefinite work and creation, or is there something where you're going?
To leave the world a better place than I started it, or to create something tangible.
Can it always be better? Like
I think so.
within the realm of physical
That one.
creation, shouldn't there be some point where we're like, it cannot get any better than this or something?
Maybe do you think that? I don't know if that's possible because I feel like human innovation is kind of difficult to.
I suppose the thing is,
Dude.
If we were to say like what's better, it would be people being well fed, safe, good medical care, and things like this, and better dwellings, better living, and we've dramatically improved that thanks to capitalism, mind you. And with the metaverse, one could argue that you'll have everything you've ever wanted, all of those things, but it's more like heroin than it is actually making the world a better place.
Yeah.
You're starving, you're frail and shaking in the corner, and you're like,